Hi, I'm Alex Gosse, owner of Magically Resin and longtime resin artist. I am working with Shop Resin Molds to bring y'all new ideas and ways to use their molds. I absolutely adore their molds. The designs are incredible. I love the shape and I absolutely love all of the intricate details. Their molds have so many good details. It's not highlighted in this piece, but it could be if I wanted to accentuate it with mica or with gold. My bathroom is done with a seaside retreat feel, so I was thrilled to get this mold, and I knew that I was going to make it into a soap dish immediately to use in my bathroom. And I pulled it out of the mold a little bit early so that I could shape it. I wanted it to have higher sides. So it makes a perfect trinket dish or jewelry dish, and it doesn't have to have sides as high as the way I made it, but I did that on purpose so that the soap wouldn't slide out of it or anything like that. So I've prepared my resin. I'm using craft resin, as I always do. It's measured 1-to-1 ratio by volume, and I use these really good paint mixing cups that have very accurate measurements on the side to make sure I get the right amount of resin. I started off by adding some Mylar iridescent flakes to the clear resin after I had mixed it well enough and let it sit and let it degas. And now I'm adding white alcohol ink Pinata. I have it in a different bottle because I buy it in large amounts because I use so much of it. And what I'm doing is I want to create a marble effect. This could also be a wave effect if you're pouring it on something flat, but when you're pouring it into a container like the one that I am that has sides and depth, it's going to become a marble effect. So I added the Pinata alcohol ink and 3 drops of silicone to create this effect. And what I want this to do is I want these Mylar flakes to go into the mold and fall into the side. And with anything like this that has sides, you want to make sure that the resin goes down the sides on the inside of the mold and not down the sides on the outside of the mold. So I like to hold the side up with a stick just to make sure that the resin goes exactly where I want it to go. You can also do this technique by pressing down on the bottom of the mold so that the resin will flow into the mold more easily. It's really just a preference issue. It is very important with a mold like this that has places where air could get trapped to make sure that you look at it, because in most cases you can see an air pocket because of the way the silicone is relatively translucent. So make sure and press all around the edges so that there's not any air pockets, because that's so disappointing to demold something and it have an air pocket and there's really just, it's so easy to check. So I decided that I really wanted more of a white wave effect before I add the blue color that I'm going to add. And I'm pushing the waves down into the side to create that effect that you see when I turn it over. It just didn't have quite enough alcohol ink to have the effect that I wanted for it to be prominent enough. It's a tricky balance. You want to get enough in there that it gives waves, but you don't want to have so much in there that all of it is white and you lose the Mylar iridescent and all of that. So now I feel like it's in a perfect space for me to mix the rest of my resin with the blue color that I want to mix it with. I love mixing mica with white alcohol ink to get a very opaque color that feels really, really soft and pastel. And I loved the way this turned out. I decided to add some silver alcohol ink. This is Pinata as well, and a little bit more silicone oil because I really wanted the bottom of this to have this cool wave effect too, because I thought that I would probably elevate it. So you would see the bottom, parts of the bottom, in addition to seeing the top, and I thought it would look cool from both sides because it's relatively translucent. I am over the moon with how this turned out. The silver was gorgeous with the blue, and it did create a bit of a wave effect without looking too marbleized or too separate, because the silver and the blue were such similar colors. And it's very soft, it's very subtle, it's very classy. I just absolutely love it. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. I'm having such a good time making these tutorials for y'all. And I would love it if you would give me a like and a subscribe, and leave in the comments things that you're interested in seeing me make tutorials about, and maybe colors that you might like me to play with. I absolutely want to do stuff that y'all want to see. So let me know, and feel free to follow me on Instagram. I am Magically Resin everywhere, and I will be putting out more YouTube tutorials for Shop Resin molds.